Folks, today we're going to talk about how to make the SamFox digital fabrication badge on the laser cutter. This is the final portion of the laser orientation training, and you're going to need a few files to do this. The first file is the SamFox digital fab badge illustrator file found on the Canvas course, and the second file is a picture of yourself. This picture needs to be on a neutral background and should include your head and the top of your shoulders. Mine is not opening, so we'll just open it up in Photoshop here. Here it is. This course is going to cover some very mild Photoshop and introductory Illustrator. You should be using a machine that has both Photoshop and Illustrator on it. The first step is I'm going to open my image, and I'm going to crop the image down. Using up here, you can see a 4:5 ratio or an 8:10 ratio. Crop symbol is here. It is the fifth one down, or the C hotkey. I'm going to click and drag. And once I have the square over, I can reposition this if I need to. I'm going to make sure that I have room over my head and then my shoulders and slightly above the corners. I'm going to hit the check mark or press enter. And that looks good to me. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the image layer that is the background down here in the bottom right corner by selecting this lock. Then I'm going to select the background. You can select the background a myriad of ways, but I'm going to use the quick selection tool, which is W, or you can click it up there. It's the fourth one down on the toolbar. You can make your selection cursor larger up here if you need to. I'm just going to click and drag around my head. You don't need to nitpick too much for this one necessarily. If you're going to be using this for an art project, I would probably nitpick a little bit more and make sure my image was perfect. So that looks good. The next button I'm going to press is the letter E for eraser, or I can select the eraser about halfway down on the toolbar on the left. I'm going to erase the outside. And now that I have the area around my head selected, I can just sort of run over everything, and it's only going to erase the areas within the selection box. That looks good to me. I need to deselect everything, and that is Control D rather. Control D will deselect any hot selections. The next step is to convert the image into black and white. And I'm going to select black and white from the adjustment layers. There's a few ways you can make things black and white in Photoshop, but for the laser cutter, I found this to be the best option. So you're going to select black and white, and the image will become black and white. This is perfect for the laser cutter. However, if you want to make it a little bit better, you can follow the next step. The next step is strictly optional, though. I'm going to select one more layer, and that's the curves layer. It's the top middle one in the adjustments panel. And this is going to give me a histogram of my color values in here. You see I have a lot of darks, so it's very high in the dark areas. Up here in the whites, it doesn't start until about 3/4 of the way up. So I'm going to drag this back down and look at the image, begin to brighten up on my forehead. And that looks pretty good to me. I'm creating a higher contrast image for the laser cutter. Now, if you skipped this step, you should be catching up to us. And I want you to right click on the layer down there below. And we'll open up this collapsible menu. And you are going to select Flatten Image. And you've created a black and white image that is high contrast for the laser cutter. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to Save As. And I'm just going to name this Laser Elf and save it as a JPEG. That should be perfect. And then the next thing I'm going to do is open up this SamFox Digital Fabrication Badge Illustrator file. I already have it open here. Have it half my screen for a second. And then you're going to get this file here. This is a 4:3 document that has a badge outline on it. and it has a couple of text objects on it as well, and these two registration marks. These registration marks will be used to align the template to the laser itself. So I'm going to drag and drop my image onto here, and it should be enormous. So I'm going to press Control and the minus sign, back out, or I can press Alt, use the scroll wheel to back out, and then I'm going to scale the image. You can scale it by grabbing a corner, and if you don't press Shift, you will sort of free scale it with no concern for the aspect ratio. And so I'm going to hold Shift. I'm also going to press Alt so it will scale from the center. And we'll drag this down in to about there. Then I'll press Control 0 to make my object or my document size fit the window. Just going to come in here and center image. And when I click to scale it, you can see next to my cursor that I have an X and a Y value. I'm going to shoot to make those just a little bit smaller, about 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. Oh no, I'm going to lose the text. I'm going to make it even smaller. There we go. That's probably good. I'm at about 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. There's a few things that you need to do now that you have this. You need to delete this object here. This will already be on your template. You need to delete the Sam Fox Digital Fabrication header. And then you need to put your name in here. And put Matt Branham. That's my name. And this is almost ready to cut. All of my engravings are set to go. Anything that is black or gray scaled will be an engraving field for the laser, but I want to cut out this badge here. Alone, the template is too large to fit inside of the badge holder, so I need to cut it out to be about credit card sized. You cut things out by making them red, RGB red, and a 0.001 stroke width. So the first thing I'm going to do is select red. As I hover over it, I can see that says CMYK red. So I'm going to need to double click on it and double click on it and open up the swatch options and change it to global, change the color mode to RGB, make that 255, 0, and 0. This should be pretty standard from the previous video. You should remember this. And I'm going to change the stroke width to 0.001. So once you have your file set up and it has been downloaded from Box and you're ready to cut it on the laser, you're going to go up and hit File, Print. And most of this was covered in the previous video, but I just want to show you real quick one thing that we will be doing a little bit differently that wasn't covered, and that is aligning the document. The document will come in like this, right? So we have our cut line and we have this black mess of pixels here. I promise that it won't come out looking like that. That's just how the image is read in the printer client. Over here, you're going to open up the head of the laser, or the hood of the laser, and you're going to hover and click over Focus View. Focus View is going to give you these crosshairs, and you can click on any point in the image, and the head of the laser will travel to that point. So you're going to zoom in here and find the center of these registration points. And you're going to click this, and the head of the laser will travel to that point on the document or on the bed, and it will show with a red diode laser, which is simply the laser that you see in any laser pointer. It'll show you the exact spot on the bed that it's going to find this point. And then you can move over and click on the next registration arrow and line up that point and go back and forth until you have these 2 points lined up exactly. That way you know that your document is going to cut out exactly along these lines and will line up with the line on the template itself.